Доброго дня, представлюся. Мене звати Харько Тетяна. Я сестра Сергія Волини, виконуючого обов'язки командира 36-ї окремої бригади морської піхоти. Він захищав нашу державу у місті Маріуполь на заводі Азовсталь. Можливо, ви чули, його називають «очі війни» або «голос війни». Щоб краще зрозуміти, яким є насправді мій брат, я хочу розповісти історію, яку мало хто знає. В дитинстві, коли ми перейшли навчатись в іншу школу, я зрозуміла, що в новому оточенні в мене немає друзів.
I would like to share a story with you that not many people are aware of. In his childhood, when we moved to study in a different school, I recognized that I lack friends in the new environment, and most importantly, I don't have anyone to defend me. I was in the 8th grade. The graduates from started attacking me. It was extremely scary for me. And my brother, at that time, he was in the 5th grade. He immediately said, "Take your hands off my sister." And surprise, surprise, they did it because they were surprised with the courage of a small boy. But now he grew up to be the defender of the whole country. Along with his brothers in arms, they defend each one of us. They are always committed. Now, not only the graduates, but the whole world is shocked with heroic deeds of the defenders of Azovstal. Sergei never told us about the atrocities of war. He always preserved us. They used every opportunity. My brother, Sergei Volinsky, is not a public person at all. He didn't have Instagram account. Even in Twitter, he registered just to share one tweet, which he addressed to Elon Musk. The Marines and other defenders of Azovstal has fully performed all the tasks. They stopped the offensive, not allowing the enemy troops to be redeployed elsewhere in Ukraine. But right now, people start forgetting about the heroism of our defenders. Yes, we were asked to stay silent, not to make it worse, but let's not believe that the story of Azovstal heroes is over. No, they need the support. They need to be brought home. How can we do that? I urge everyone, all the organizations, the society at large, all the bloggers, don't follow the example of Kalush Band or Ruslan Lezichka. Talk about the heroes of Azovstal. Talk out loud about them so that in all of the corners of the world, people will understand that all of the defenders of Azovstal need to be brought back home. People, I plead with you, don't think that you cannot impact the existing situation. Each day we talk about the war. These conversations happen in Ukraine and outside. I ask you, when talking to friends, relatives, colleagues, citizens of other countries, remind them about the heroes of Mariupol. Remind them about Azovstal, that each one of those defenders has the right to be brought home. We need to make sure that they are brought back home. I would like also to add here, quite recently, I called the wife of my brother, and I couldn't stay unemotional and started crying. And all of a sudden, my nephew, son of my brother, small, courageous boy, picked up the phone and he told me, "Tanya, don't you cry. My dad will come back home. He promised me. I plead you, please help the father to come back to his son." I'm convinced that such promises were given by each son, brother, husband, father in Azovstal, in Mariupol. People, please, let us bring them back home. That's it from me. I need to run. I pass the floor to the next speaker. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, woman from Steel. And now, Sanda Kretevich, sister of Major Bogdan Kretevich, the chief of staff. First, hello, my name is Sandra. I am the sister of Major Bogdan Kretevich, deputy officer, commander of Azov Regiment, codename Tavr. For my brother, he never dreamt to be a military person, a serviceman, wearing uniform, military uniform, but the time came when in 2014, after annexation of Crimea, when the war started in the east of Ukraine, he had to stop his training in the Water Transport Academy and start defending the country. He is the noble son of his homeland. He could not hide behind the skirts of women. He had to go and defend the country like any man, like any person who calls himself a Ukrainian and has the passport of Ukraine should do. As of today, my brother is somewhere. I don't know the location. He was evacuated. What state of health he's in, I don't know. He didn't contact us. But I want to support the previous speaker and address everyone, both the Ukrainian as well as foreign media. Please do not keep silent. This whole evacuation from the steelworks, that's not coming back home. The guys are not back home. Where they are, what conditions they're in, we don't know. We hope that the Russian side will treat them according to Geneva Convention and international law, exactly like Ukraine treats the prisoners of war from the Russian Federation. That's it from me. I will gladly entertain your questions, if any. It's sorry because it's difficult for me to add anything here. Thank you, Sandra. Alena Chernobyl, the wife of the officer. I'm the wife of the officer who was serving in the Donetsk border guards from the beginning of the, of full-scale invasion of the Russian Federation into the territory of Ukraine, together with other border guards, and the Marines were defending the city of Mariupol. Back in 2016, he was recruited in the border guard of Ukraine. He was serving well and proudly, being proud of being a border guard officer. In January 2022, he made a decision to serve in the city of Mariupol in the military unit 9973 in the south of Ukraine, recognizing quite well how difficult and complicated the situation there is. I'm very proud of my husband. He became an example of heroism, resilience, and indomitability of our warriors. I would like to share one story from their life in Azovstal. At night, when the building was shelled, thanks God, it never exploded, the shell. But despite such critical situations, which for them became a norm already, they didn't lose their nerve. They persevered. They recognized that they will do everything for their homeland. My husband being wounded twice with fragments of the shell and without proper medical attention and medical treatment, almost without food and constant airstrikes, strikes from the sea, heavy artillery shelling during 3 months, didn't give up and didn't lose his nerve, continuing together with the border guards and other military from other military units to defend the city. We recognize that the solution of the issue how to return my husband and other defenders who are currently being kept prisoners by the enemy, probably with the help of the international community, of our military high command and the whole of the Ukrainian people, despite anything. Any military is a human being first and foremost. That's why we demand and we urge to stick to the Geneva Convention norms in respect to all of the military, and we urge the international community to help bring the corpses of our killed servicemen, and also to find out what happens with those who are currently lost in action, and for their relatives it's important to know what happened with them. We recognize that in these hard times, only by uniting all our efforts, we'll be able to bring our boys home to their families, to their families. We believe that by joining our efforts, we'll reach the goal of bringing our heroes back home. Thank you for your attention. Pass the floor to the next speaker. Esteemed viewers and journalists, at the screen you can see all the contact information of the Council of Mothers and Wives of Mariupol Defenders. It's called Women from Steel. Natalka Zaritska is next, wife of a soldier of Azov Regiment. My name is Natalia Zaritska. I'm wife of a soldier of Azov Regiment. The top telephone number on top of the screen is my personal number. The last time on May the 17th, my husband called that number. Right now, it's unclear what's with him, where he is, whether he's alive, whether he hasn't been tortured, whether he is being tortured as we speak. On that day, May the 17th, I was in the embassy of Ukraine in Ankara. We visited Istanbul. Husband wrote an atrocious text message to me that out of 32 brothers in arms of his unit, 24 had been killed. 17 out of 24 died in one blow, when after one airstrike they dropped phosphorus, air bomb, and 70 our defenders died. They became ash. Only bones were left. 8 persons who survived, 7 of them were wounded, different levels of severity. Only 1 was unscathed. Under such conditions, they stayed 82 days heroically defending this place, Azovstal Steelworks. I want you to know about this. Our guys were heroically delivering on their orders, and the last order was to put down arms and preserve their lives. For a while, we were standing still and While waiting, we also became, with bating breath, tried that they will be brought to us. But the miracle is that they still survived. We're still in the state of shock, but we cannot be inactive, because taking our heroes from Azovstal, that's not the end. That's just the beginning of the new phase of fight. Ukrainian women are not born from steel. We steel ourselves while waiting for the defenders of our homeland. When we fight shoulder to shoulder with them, when we fight for their life and their freedom, the war unites us. The war changes our points of view, our pain, and even our tears into steel. We are united around the joint goal, because the problem of Azovstal is like litmus paper, identify the whole layer of problems. We have to make sure that we bring our heroes back home as soon as possible. We need to have guarantees that the Geneva Convention provisions will be complied with. And today we talk about those who are alive now, who are captured, who are wounded, those who were lost in action, those who killed in action, deported. And today we announce that we establish the Council of Wives and Mothers of the Defenders of Ukraine, which we called Women of Steel. This council would be mediating the relations between the relatives and the authorities. It will be a powerful NGO and a ray of life in preserving human values. We launch Telegram channel because we see a huge gap in communications. Right now, each one of you doesn't know what to do, where to go to. We need to have algorithms of clear actions, communications, and predefined steps. And some of the steps have been already made. Being in pain and stress, we have huge task ahead of us. Our strength is in unity. We are standing at this scene united, and the audience united. Behind our shoulders is the whole of Ukraine. This issue goes beyond war, beyond politics, beyond jurisprudence. It's about preserving the highest human value, that is to say, human life. I want you to know that among the defenders of Mariupol, the defenders of Ukraine, there are representatives of those units whom we represent. Here we have Victoria Chukhraeva, sister of the territorial trooper, and Maria Netrepa, the wife of the National Guard's officer, and lots of other relatives, and you'll be able to talk to them. They're present here. I want those girls to take floor as well. Thank you.
Виктория, прошу. Мне куда? Да, так. Здравствуйте.
Hello, my name is Victoria Chukhraeva. I'm sister of the territorial defense trooper. The heroism that they performed could not be compared. The heroes from Azovstal have their names, their stories, their relatives, the near and dear who wants to see them close by and to be confident in their safety and that they are being kept in humane conditions. We should not forget about them, not for a second, and about the heroism that they conducted, making sure that they are back home as soon as possible. Maria, now you. Hello, everyone. My name is Maria. I am the wife of the National Guard's officer who was also courageously defending Azovstal for more than 80 days. I would like to tell you about one story about my husband who illustrates him and all of those who were there. They are the people who never leave their brothers in arms behind. My husband was wounded early April, but compared to those who lost their extremities, He said, it's just a kindergarten wound for me. So he said, I decided I will help other the boys to collect the wounded from the battlefield, from the battleground. And all the term that he was wounded for almost 2 weeks, he was helping to gather heavily wounded brothers in arms and bringing them to the hospital. We have no right to forget about this, about them. What we did before they were evacuated, well, that was happening mostly by us. But now I urge everyone to shout out loud about the need to help our defenders. Thank you, Women of Steel. Colleagues, you can ask your questions, take the mic and present yourselves. Do you keep in touch with some of the soldiers? And if yes, what sort of information do they share? Another question. We heard that one of the warriors was taken to Chechnya. Do you have the confirmation of this? And what's the reaction of the authorities? Do you talk about exchanging them? And what's the timeline? Well, as to those who were taken out or not, no. These are elements of Russian propaganda. We're not aware of such instances. Nobody informed us about this. What we are aware of, that nobody took anyone from there. They stay where they were brought into from Azovstal as of May the 20th, or is it the 19th of May? And that was the second question. Can you repeat your first one? Whether we stay in touch. As far as I know, there was my brother was not staying in touch with me. He never called me, never wrote to me. Well, actually, the last time I stayed in touch with him was the last day when they were taken out of Azovstal. At 5 a.m., he wrote to me that after lunch there might be no connection with him. So no contact after that with him, and as far as I know, with nobody else either. Well, uh, are you aware about any other instances of somebody staying in touch? In the last time my husband called me on May the 17th, for 2 weeks I haven't received anything from him. No text message, no phone call. And starting by night the Geneva Convention, it clearly says that the relatives should communicate with those who are kept as prisoners of war, are captured by the enemy during 2 weeks. Such there was no compliance with the Geneva Convention, or my husband was not getting in touch with me. People from the Red Cross contacted me about 4 or 5 days ago, and they told me that they confirmed that he walked out from Azovstal steelworks. But every time I asked them, so whether he's alive, where he was sent, they shared no information with me. My husband said that it will be the territory under the control of the Russian Federation. Right now, I know nothing about my husband from May the 17th. Thank you. More questions? I would like to add to this question. My son was defending Mariupol. The last time he called me on April the 9th, but then I was informed that on April the 12th he was captured. Only a couple of days I saw his name on the list of the captured warriors, and according to that information, he's in Bryansk. Bryansk is the city in the territory of Russia. I saw his picture a couple of days ago. His hands were behind his back, could have been tied or in shackles. He had his head down, and I could see only his nose and his eyes. What state of health is my son in? What state of health they were when they were captured? Well, We don't know. Some people suggested look at the video at some of the Telegram channels, but I couldn't find anything. I couldn't see him on any footage. I want to see my son alive and healthy, back at his homeland that he was fighting for. He was serving in the military from the 2017. I wish all of them to come back alive and being well protected and taken care of. And I would like to thank the whole international community who are taking care of those defendants.
In Finnish public TV, just to clarify, as I understand, none of you have ever heard anything about the whereabouts of your husbands and brothers. In general, the Russian side, how big percentage of all those disappeared? Have the Russian side given any information through the Red Cross about?
Доброго дня, мене звати Ленард, я з фінського телебачення і...
Дайте можливість відповісти на питання.
Перепрошую, я перекладаю.
На жаль,
Unfortunately, we're not aware where our boys, husbands, brothers, sons are right now. That's why we urge to help us to get in touch with them. Again, there is a Geneva Convention which clearly states that we have the right twice a week to hear their voices. That unfortunately never happened. We hope a lot that Red Cross might be helpful, because when they called me, all they informed me is that they confirmed that my husband walked out of Azovstal steelworks. I want to have clear lines of communication with Red Cross, because their duty right now in the time of war is to be the bridge between the relatives and those who are captured, the bridge between searching the corpses of the killed warriors, that's a separate problem, and a bridge in finding those who were lost and disappeared. Hello, my name is Dmitro Nadolu, news agency from Turkey. Have you been yourself in Mariupol? Could you share some eyewitness accounts with us? And a clarifying question. What I understood, you are not staying in touch with your relatives, but still, any one of you talk to them? And my third question is this. You mentioned that you are talking to Red Cross in terms of bringing them back home, but do you stay in touch with the Ukrainian authorities? What do they tell you, and what's being done by the Ukrainian authorities to make sure that the soldiers will be brought back home? Thank you for this question. Well, firstly, I've been to Mariupol on Valentine's Day, February the 14th. At that time, the war could have started any day, and then I had to return back to Kyiv. And as far as I know, girls, you haven't been in Mariupol after the invasion started, right? Second question. My husband and myself, we have a habit of sending text messages to one another, regardless of whether you have cell coverage or not. Because when the self-coverage happens, I can download 50 to 100 text messages, so I constantly read his text messages. As for Red Cross, nothing from them. When a representative from Red Cross called me, he never answered my question, and I asked him whether the Red Cross representatives are staying on sites where our men were brought to. I would love to have Red Cross officials to be there to make sure that Geneva Convention provisions are being adhered to. As to your question about our connection with the Ukrainian authorities, you know that we were urging them from the Maidan, the Independence Square, but they couldn't fully hear us at that time. But now they are fully staying in touch with us, and they told us that even during this week there will be results of the steps that were made before. Well, first of all, we want to have a constantly working hotline so that we'll stay in touch with them. Also, we want to know what would be the algorithm of what we could do. Like, your husband is captured. What should you do? Your son has disappeared. What should you do? 1, 2, 3. So we want our guys to start calling us. We have the right for 2 calls a week. And in this regard, I'm grateful not only to the Ukrainian authorities, but to the governments of third parties. Some hidden threads have worked, and more and more chances of seeing our boys alive are opening up. Thanks a lot. Valerie Hopkins.
I just have a question. Sorry to listen to my own voice. Can you tell a little bit more about the organization? How many mothers, wives, sisters have you gathered now? And what else? What do you have more concrete actions planned for the future? Thank you.
Дякую за запитання.
Дякую за запитання.
Thank you for this question. Today, I have received 48 calls and text messages asking to join our council, and that's before lunch. There's 1,000 plus households, families, who are willing to join our council. We will be allowing to join our community not only close relatives, but also those who care and who are ready to join their efforts with us. I was very positively surprised that there is a critical mass of people in each region of Ukraine, all over the world. There are people who are ready to join their efforts. You know what? At the first stage, when I started urging everyone to help them out, on the second week of the occupation, when Kalina said, don't stay silent. At that time, with my little son, I was in the basement because there was shelling in Kyiv. So together with the son, we drew the placard, Save Mariupol, with large red hearts, and we placed it on social media. And I'm grateful that this picture of my son with this placard were used by people in their avatars, which proved that these are caring people, and that was the beginning of this path of great unity. And today I am grateful that we are joining our efforts, and hopefully these would be thousands of people. Natalka, your goal is not only to unite the efforts of the relatives of the Mariupol defenders, but all of the people. Yes, the problem of Mariupol and Azovstal helped to identify the huge layer of problems. We have people who've been captured for 9 years now, people who have been searched for years, and they are currently imprisoned in Russia. So we're talking about the Council of Wives and Mothers of all of the defenders of Ukraine. Thank you. Any more questions? No questions. I would like to thank colleagues for joining us. I'm grateful for helping us so that the whole world will hear the stories of our defenders, men and women. Thank you for being with us, and thank you, our women of steel.